Welcome to the Nicholas 11x12 technology. Today I'd like to review the smartphone I personally use, the Sony Xperia Z2, the black version. This one's also available in white and purple. The Z2, of course, is not the latest phone you can get by Sony, and that's why it's cheaper, currently costs around $420 US. But I got it on sale sometime in March for an awesome price of about $320. Honestly, I didn't want to spend any money on tech stuff for a while, but I just couldn't resist that awesome deal. I'm also a bit late to review this phone, but that's because I've been waiting for Sony to roll out the Android 5.0 update so I could review it with the latest OS. In the box is the beautiful smartphone itself, the USB cable and the charger, 1.5 amps by the way, Sony's noise cancelling earphones, which however aren't as good in my opinion as many people say, also included some spare rubber pieces for the earphones, and last but not least, all the documentation, manuals and so on. The Sony Xperia Z2 looks absolutely fantastic when it comes down to the design and overall aesthetics in my opinion, but well, that's one reason I went with this phone anyways. Both the front and back side of the phone are out of durable, shatterproof glass, which some people may dislike, but I like that. To add a little more to the stability, but also looks, we have that aluminum frame. Also, as pretty much with all the high-end phones these days, this Z2 is IP58 certified, which means it's dust and waterproof. Well, not waterproof, more like water resistant. If you want, you could hang this phone around your neck, if you're that type of a user. The option's here. On the left here, we have Sony's charging connection for their charging dock. I don't have one though. And behind this cover, we find the micro USB connection as well as the micro SIM card slot. On the top left, we have the 3.5mm audio jack. Here's a mic and another one on the bottom. Now on the right behind that cover, we find the micro SD card slot with support for up to 128GB. Right beside the power button, the volume rocker, and down there, the camera shortcut button. Speaking of camera, this Xperia Z2 features a 20.7 megapixel main camera with an LED flash and the option to record video in 4K, so basically 2160p at 30 fps and 1080p with up to 60 fps. As for the front-facing camera, 2.2 megapixels and video in 1080p at 30 fps. Although the thickness of 8.2mm makes this Z2 look real heavy, it's actually still pretty lightweight with just 163 grams. My Xperia Z2 came with the Android 4.4.2 OS, but Sony started rolling out the 5.0 Lollipop update lately, and that's why this phone's now running Lollipop. However, after applying this update, the OS really had a lot of bugs, glitches and whatnot, so I had to reset the phone and now it works fine with Android 5.0. The Z2 features a 5.2-inch IPS display with a resolution of 1920 by 1080 pixels. That results in a pixel density of 424 ppi. The touchscreen works absolutely fantastic as you can see. It's responding very well and supports up to 10-finger multi-touch. The colors look great on this device, but Sony additionally also offers some image enhancement options such as their X Reality Engine or Super Vivid mode, which basically makes the colors pop out more, but that means you're losing some color accuracy here. The viewing angles pretty much are as good as you can expect from an IPS panel. This phone makes use of the powerful, popular Qualcomm Snapdragon 801 2.3 GHz quad-core CPU, and combined with the Adreno 330 GPU, games run smoothly without any lag, at least games that I've tested with this phone. Overall, the experience in the OS, the performance is top-notch. The Z2 comes with 16GB of internal storage and 3GB of RAM. You shouldn't be running out of RAM that easily on this device, so that's great for multitasking and having apps running in the background. However, as for storage, while photos, music and videos can be stored on the microSD card, apps can only be installed on the limited 16GB of internal storage. No problem to me, but it might be one to you. The smartphone features a non-removable 3200 mAh lithium-ion battery. Both removable as well as non-removable batteries have their advantages and disadvantages, but I don't want to discuss about them now. Thanks to the 3200 mAh, the phone can reach up to 3 days on battery when in light use. When doing really demanding stuff, you probably will only get through a whole day, but not much longer, maybe a day and a half. Still, that's very acceptable when considering the amount of power this device has to offer. To give you a better idea on the performance, in the Antutu benchmark, this Z2 scored around 44,500, which is a very good score indeed. Same in the Geekbench tool with roughly 900 points in the single-core test and 2,700 in the multi-core test. Surfing the web as you'd expect at this price point works great, and even in locations with weaker Wi-Fi signals, this phone manages to keep the connection as stable as possible. One of the reasons I went with the Sony Xperia Z2 was the internal speaker. In fact, we have two front-facing speakers, one on the top and one on the bottom. And the quality is outstanding for a smartphone, especially once you enable Sony's Clear Audio Plus audio enhancement option. With that feature on, the speakers sound very clear, loud, and yet not too thin. However, when listening to music through headphones, I'd recommend disabling that enhancement feature since it kind of fakes the sound a little bit. Also, I love Sony's Walkman music app. It has everything I need and is responding very well. The internal mic sounds much more natural than most other microphones on smartphones. However, in concerts, the mic quickly overloads. And now to the final aspect, the camera quality. Taking photos with this camera works great. Whether it be with automatic settings or manual ones, it works well and the results are very good. Although the Samsung Galaxy S5 does a little better though, especially in low light situations. This is where the Sony Xperia Z2 is a bit weaker. Although Sony advertises with a 20.7 megapixel camera, the best overall photos are taken with 8 megapixels. That seems to be the sweet spot in this camera here. The video quality for a phone is very good, no doubts, but it's really hard at times to focus in video mode, especially when doing close-ups. But other than that, I have no complaints here regarding the camera. The Sony Xperia Z2, indeed, is a very good smartphone and definitely a strong competitor to the competition. I have no complaints when it comes to the performance, the display and the touchscreen are very good too, and a smartphone in this price range pretty much has everything you would want from a phone, and same goes for this Xperia Z2. I mean, it looks great too. Of course, that's a thing of preference. The battery life is decent, as I've said before already, and the speakers on this phone really blew my mind. Price performance wise, well, these high-end flagship smartphones aren't the best deals out there, we know that already. Still, if you have that much money to spend on a high-end phone, I would definitely recommend the Sony Xperia Z2. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe and visit nicholas11x12techx.com to see videos there earlier than on YouTube.